Good evening. Old Granddaddy coming to you again here. Had a little funny story I wanted to share with you while I'm thinking about it. And I wasn't there when it happened. Before my time. It's an old story been handed down through the family, and I've heard many jokes or stories or tales very similar, same concept, and so I'm not going to say it was a factual thing. It sounded, knowing who it was and the time it was set in, it sounded like it was very plausible. Could have very well happened, and may have happened many times over this country. I don't know. And as we get into it, you'll recognize what I'm talking about. But this is the version that was told to me about one of my granddaddy's brothers. But anyhow, Granddaddy hooked up with the Confederacy there, and he was 13 or either 14, and he was with us for the duration there, and they wound up at a place called Natural Bridge, Florida, which was way down south of Tallahassee, Florida, between Tallahassee and the coast. What was supposedly one of the last, if not the last, recorded battle of the Civil War. They were still fighting 4.5 months after the war was ended. It took them that long to get word the war was over. And so anyhow, when they finally got word, they got dispatched the war was over. Well, back then there wasn't nobody to take nobody nowhere to do nothing. They just, you just lay your gun down and or go find you something to shoot and eat, because you're doing something else then on your own. So they cut them loose, and Granddaddy had made many attempts to correspond back home. Never heard anything from anybody, and after a good long time, he just figured all his family had either been killed or dispersed, was out of pocket, somehow, with nothing to go home to. So he just settled in down there on the coast and married his first wife, a young girl, and he was 17 years old then. And he started a homestead there and married his first wife, I guess you'd call her my first grandma, and raised 12 children by her, worked her to death, married again another young lady, which was my grandmother, my granddaddy's mother, raised 12 more children. So there was always a bunch of half brothers and half sisters, and took me a long time when I was a little fella growing up to figure out why there'd be people come to our family reunion and come to visit and call him my granddaddy uncle, and some of them older than he was. But as I got a little older, I understood what happened there. But anyhow, this particular uncle, he, like everybody, had a little farmstead, and he, of course, like a lot of people did back then, everybody had open range. It was open range for a long time. I remember when it was still open range when I was a child, and up through, I guess, teenage years. But everybody kept the hogs and the cattle and the goats and everything turned out. Of course, it was up to you to catch them and pin them up. And sometimes them old hogs get pretty hard to deal with, especially them old boar hogs, been out a long time, raised out in the woods on their own and doing nothing but fighting and making pigs, and he had him like a lot of people, he had him a hog pen built to keep them bad ones in when you get them. And a lot of times they get them and castrate them and keep them shut up and feed them good feed for what they call cleaning out period, to get them to where they would be fit to eat. Or sometimes if they were the right kind, if they could gentle them down and get the bad teeth out of them, they'd use them for breeding stock. But he had him a big old pen built out of cross ties. So them hogs was bad. You couldn't put them in just anything. They tear a regular fence all to pieces. And had a big old pen built there about 8 foot tall. So they could jump like a deer. And it was made out of cross ties laid long ways, pinned together with runners up and down the outside of it. And they was cracks, in it big enough to get your fingers and maybe your hand in there now and then, because they were, rough cut. Back then, the cross ties were hand cut, and so it didn't match up completely, but it was a pretty solid wall of cross ties. And Of course, it went down one tie in the ground so it couldn't root out. And on one side of it there, the thing was built kind of like what I'd call an igloo. It didn't have a top on it, but it had kind of a foyer type thing going in the gate, you know, and you go in and turn right or left, had a wall there you could get behind if you had to get out of the way of one of them hogs, because they'd cut you. And on the other side, it had a kind of an L-shaped thing, and had a hole in the wall and another pen built, kind of an attachment there, and had a roof over it. And he kept pine straw in there, a place for the hogs to bed down, and if he needed to from time to time, a good place for a sow to have pigs. But at that particular time, he had a big old wild bull hog in there. He was big and he was bad. Had tushes probably longer than your middle finger. And Granddaddy sat there on the front porch one day in his old overalls, what we call half mast. Didn't have on no shirt. They said he had, you know, one strap tied and one strap hanging down, like I still do sometime in hot weather. And of course, he had him a pretty good beard growing at the time, as most of them did. And he was one of them fellas that, you know, raised up doing things his way. Well, this man come up there one day and kind of dressed up, or, you know, wearing new clothes and driving a old truck that was back then a new truck. But he got out, introduced himself, and told him he was such and such with the agriculture department. And Uncle James told me, he said, I ain't sent for you. He said, no, sir. He said, we just on routine, and this is something new we're starting. It's just routine inspection. We checking on the farms in the area to see what kind of livestock they got and what constitutes farms here and what their needs might be and this, that, and the other. And he said, I need to look at your livestock and see, you know, what you got and what as relative to surrounding people, you know, and we're putting together studies that update this every so often. And he said, well, I don't think that comes before you. He said, yes, sir. He said, I got authority. He reached down, he had a little bit of a belly, he said, and he reached down and pulled his belly up and had a badge on his belt. He said, this badge right here gives me authority to go anywhere on agricultural land where there may be livestock involved. And Granddaddy hadn't been long got through eating. That's the reason he was sitting out there on the porch trying to cool off a little bit and let his groceries digest. He said, well, go ahead then if that's what you got to do. He said, but now, when you get out there in the edge of that second patch, he said, you see that big old pen out there walled up? And he said, now, there ain't nothing in there but one big old bull hog. He said, you stay out of there because he can hurt you. And he said, oh, I'm used to livestock. I deal with hogs pretty regular. I ain't worried about that. And they told him, said, no, said, I mean, don't go in there. Said, you can look between the cracks or whatever, but you better not go in there. So you know what happened? After a while, he done forgot about him. He'd been out there a good long time, and you know, he'd been out there counting his cows and looking at his chickens, and first one thing and another. After a while, he heard somebody hollering like he was caught in a trap, just carrying on. And he knew right away. He said, doggone, he done got out there and he got crossways that hog. And that old thing was built, it's kind of built kind of like a octagon shape, and had corners here, there, and yonder. And when he got there, he run up there and opened the gate and went in and tried to assess the situation, because he was standing behind that catch wall there and went in the gate. He said that fellow was backed up in the corner there. He climbed about halfway up that wall like a crab. Had his legs spread out and his arms spread out, hanging on with his, had what hole he could get between them cross ties, and he was trying to keep his heirlooms out of the jaws of that hog. And that hog was just a gnashing at him, right and lit charging him. It was just back and forth, back and forth. And he said he hollered at him. He kept, get him off, get him off. And he hollered at him, and he done this just for meanness, I know. He said, show him your badge. And so everybody got a big kick out of that. But you know, he wound up having to go get the catch dog and turn him in there to get that hog where that man could get out of that thing. But you know, that just goes to show sometimes you're better off to listen to people that know a little more than you know about certain things. They may not have your education, but they may have already been there and done it. Just wanted to share that with you. Y'all give us a like and a share and whatever that other thing is you're supposed to do. Subscribe. I may get used to this one day. Like I say, I'm country as cornbread, and but we're gonna have some fun, and we'll get into some other things here, and y'all come see us, and God bless you.